Welcome to the Purple Political Breakdown. I am glad you are here and I'm glad you are listening to today's podcast episode. My mission in each and every one of these episodes is to really focus on the solutions to some of the biggest questions and most controversial topics going on in our current society. I feel like most of these conversations are not truly being discussed in a more logical and respectful manner due to the political toxicity that goes on with both the left and the right, both the Democrats and the Republicans. In this podcast, I don't care about any of that. I am focused on the solutions. I'm focused on bridging gaps. If you want to join me on this journey, if you want to discuss some of the most important topics, if you are tired of the political toxicity and negativity from both sides, please support this channel, share the podcast, and go to my website, www.purplepoliticalbreakdown.com. I appreciate the support. I'll continue to make content, and hopefully we can start bridging these gaps and focusing on real issues going on in our world. Welcome back to the Purple Political Breakdown. I'm your host, Riddell Lewis. How you doing? How's your day been? Episode number 66. Is America becoming mediocre? This is an interesting question, and it came from the fact that Tom Brady was talking about the NFL and talking about how potentially mediocre has become. And I think that question kind of extends beyond the NFL. Every facet of America and the question of whether or not it has become mediocre is a legitimate question to ask. Now, before we dive into that, I'm going to start off with reading off a review. Shout out Emotionally Healthy Legal. They said if you are into politics and you enjoy talking about it and going deep behind the scenes, this podcast is a good one for you. I very much agree to that. Make sure you guys leave a 5-star review on the podcast. You guys can check out the website, www.purplepoliticalbreakdown.com. Any review that you leave or any comment that you leave can be shouted out in a future episode or even an email that you send me, of course. So with that said, we're going to dive into this. We're going to get a brief ad, so hope you guys enjoy. And consider joining Podpage if you want your own podcast website. Do you want a great website like this? This is my podcast website where I direct the audience to come to, watch the content, listen to the content, read the blogs, and much, much more. If you want to have your own customizable podcast website, then join my affiliate link in my description to sign up for something called Podpage, and they can help you customize an easy podcast website for your personal podcast. Sign up to get a discount now. Again, use the link in my description to join Podpage now. Now, with that said, I'm going to start off with some current events. What you need to know. What is going on recently? Now, obviously, we've had the Republican debate panel number 4, I believe. I won't be doing an episode regarding that because I didn't watch it. I didn't have time and it was way too long. If you guys have some thoughts regarding it, I'll be more than willing to hear it. Obviously, if you have clips regarding it, I'll be more than willing to react to them. But I'm not watching a full 2-hour podcast because I just don't have time. Now, I do have some other current events that I'm going to bring up. First things first, Sean Diddy Combs temporarily steps down as chairman of Revolt, a music-focused TV network he co-founded in 2013 amid multiple sexual assault allegations. Nah, it's not looking good for Diddy. It looks like he's a scumbag, and it looks like that he loves to fly both sides. I'm just saying. Mark Cuban sells majority stake but retains basketball operation duties. Mark Cuban making certain moves, and although he may sell majority stake of the Dallas Mavericks, he's still involved to help Luka Doncic win an NBA championship, and I respect it. Virgin Atlantic flies a commercial Boeing 787 from London to New York, powered solely by animal fats. Approach could reduce greenhouse gas emission in the aviation industry by 70%. Shout out to you, of course. Russia's Supreme Court declared the international LGBTQ plus rights movement an extremist organization in the latest and most severe legal move against the LGBTQ plus activism in the country. So leftists, I know you definitely hate Russia right now, and just know that the Russians are more than likely helping Hamas. So I don't know if you want a organization that hates the LGBTQ helping the organization that you support, Hamas and the Palestinians. I'm just saying it's kind of weird. Shout out the innocent Palestinians, though, of course. George Santos was expelled from Congress, hit with 23 federal charges, including money laundering, wire fraud, and identity theft, and lying to Congress. Federal judge blocks Montana's first in-nation ban of TikTok. Will TikTok get banned in the country? I still don't know. I'd be very curious to see. Ex-U.S. diplomat accused of spying for Cuba for more than 4 decades. His name is Manuel Roca. And obviously, Hamas and Israel continue fighting after the ceasefire, of course. A lot of interesting news. I think I got a few more because it's been a while and I want to make sure that I'm updating everybody. Oh yeah, this is interesting. CVS drug cost overhaul. CVS Health on yesterday announced, or a couple days ago announced, major changes to how it will price its prescription drugs. A move observers say could increase transparency in the industry. Very huge, increasing transparency on how these drugs are moving throughout the industry, of course. Mass scores for Americans 15-year-olds dropped to an all-time low between 2018 and 2022, according to the latest results of an international exam. And that's not good. Saw a 13-point drop in its average math score. Yeah, kids are getting dumber, of course. Kevin McCarthy has resigned from Congress. And the last thing I'm going to bring up here is the Biden administration announced a proposal yesterday that would allow federal agencies to break taxpayer-funded patents of high-cost drugs, citing a broadened interpretation of a 1980 patent law. The initiative prompted a 60-day public comment period. So this will be huge. A lot is changing in terms of the medical industry, like the healthcare industry. And I think a lot of people would say this is a good thing. I know you guys don't know, but that's why you listen to this podcast. So now you do know, of course. So let's dive into our next segment, the social subtopic. What is going on socially in society that everybody is talking about? Well, from what I've seen that everybody's talking about on my timeline, at the very least, the divorce between Destiny and Melina. Yeah, I was thinking about whether or not I want to talk about it because I'm not one of those platforms that talks about certain people's relationships and drama. I think it's kind of cringe to monetize and gain traction over some people's interpersonal situations. With that said, there's an interesting question that comes from this circumstance. First thing I want to point out when it comes to the Destiny and Melina situation is that Destiny, you put yourself in this situation. Regardless if you want to listen to me or not, we need to realize that you made your relationship public. You made it for everybody to see. Now, you do always set a caveat that your type of living style is unique to you and doesn't think that everybody would abide by it, which I do appreciate. But the way you outline your relationship to the people gets people immediately invested to what is going on. It makes them look at it as a formula to have a better life. You need to recognize your popularity and your importance. Making your relationship public, making it known it's an open relationship, and making it very much known all the escapades you be getting into is stupid. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't do it anymore. And that's why so many people are invested into the relationship right now. And of course, you as an individual are going to not only be going through it in terms of the divorce and the circumstance, because I did see the whole paragraph regarding the guy would threaten to commit suicide and all that crazy jazz. I'm not even going to comment on that. That is ridiculous. But the fact that you have to deal with this situation that's super dramatic and negative, but also potentially have to deal with other people commenting on your circumstance is tiring for anybody. So that's the first thing I want to bring out, that making all this so public was your fault in the first place. The second thing I want to point out is that the reason why this conversation is so important to people is obviously they want to see Destiny fail and be wrong, but it raises the question again in terms of the validity of open relationships. Open relationships allows people to be married and committed to each other, but allows them to have sexual relationships with other people. Now, there was an interesting video that came out after like a discussion on the Whatever podcast, and people are making this video trend because one of the guys said that in the future, what happens if there's an individual and the circumstance between the one of you two becomes deeper than just sex. One thing that I've seen Destiny say is that they never have to worry about these relationships getting deeper, and usually they're just sex, of course. Well, Destiny, I'm be honest, this is absolutely ignorant. It is. Let's be honest. I've never been a fan of open relationships personally. I don't think they have any true value. I think personally, if you are not able to get your sexual satisfaction from your partner, then that just spells problems in your current relationship already. Now, there are unique individuals, and Destiny could be one. Melina seems like she isn't one, but I'm not going to comment on someone else's mindset. But there are certain individuals that can't emotionally attach themselves to people for a long period of time. For me, that is probably the case. I'll see how it continues to work as I grow older. But the solution to that is, okay, I'm going to get in this relationship and still screw other people. There is a disconnect when people think that sex is not just physical. Yes, it can be, but for the majority of the people, it's not. Men and women. There's a reason why Destiny keeps on getting in a lot of drama. These situations are more than just physical, horny attractions. For people like me and Destiny, it could be like that. But for 90% of people, I'd say it's not. And that's just a random number I pulled out. I don't even know if Destiny is truly that like that either. But with that said, I think people need to recognize that open relationships shouldn't be the first thing you go to. I think open relationships should be a thing you go to if you have no other option. It's a unique situation. I always abide by a standard of normal. I think a standard of normal is a relationship between man and woman that is committed to one another. If you are not normal, which is nothing wrong with it, none at all, fully okay with you not being the standard of normal, then that's when you go to the alternatives, the open relationships. And I'm not even saying Destiny didn't do that, but I'm saying everybody else who's looking towards what Destiny has done, looking towards some red pillars who said that they love to mess around in open relationships and get like 3 wives, looking at people like Sneeko or Andrew Tate, you need to realize that these are exceptional cases. These are not the norm. They don't usually work out. I don't know any long-term relationship where the guy ends up long-term with a woman when he dies in an open relationship. If you can name me one example of that, I'm all ears. I can't name a single one. I don't know any. There's a reason why a bunch of celebrities are never in long-lasting relationships, because they always mess around. It just doesn't work. And it's not supposed to work. Us mammals are supposed to love companionship, are supposed to care about companionship. And that's the important thing. So that is something I want to point out in terms of the Destiny Melina situation. I'm not going to talk about their situation specifically, but these questions that kind of tangent from it are important things to address. And with that said, I'm not going to go into our deeper topic. I just want to go straight to the main topic, and then we'll wrap it up, of course. America. Is America becoming mediocre? Now, there's a lot of things that I want to tackle. But when I'm talking about becoming mediocre, I'm talking about the willingness or the lack of efficiency, the lack of top tier performances I want to say this. We'll come piece by piece, and I got a very interesting message, so that's why I had to check it out. Let's kind of break this down piece by piece. And if I'm wrong, you can let me know I'm wrong. But this is what I'm seeing, and I'm going to talk about it. First, let's talk about the sports business, where the question kind of derived from. We get the NBA when it comes down to it. The NBA is, or let's start with the NFL since Tom Brady is the one who raised the question. We got the NFL with Tom Brady. Tom Brady said the NFL is becoming a little bit mediocre. We're seeing the performances right now this season. While a lot of young quarterbacks are not playing at the highest of levels, the offenses are not being nearly as efficient. And even though you could argue the defenses are getting better, it just seems like football is not as great as it once was. It seems like people are relying too much on their raw talent and raw ability without focusing on certain aspects of the job at hand that led them to this point. The fundamentals, the game, the understanding of the game. Someone like Patrick Mahomes is definitely doing it, but obviously the majority of the NFL is not reaching that same level of understanding the game, understanding the nuances. Raw ability allows you to be mediocre. Raw talent allows you to be mediocre. You can work hard all you want, but there's certain details regarding the NFL game that is very important to understand to truly get where you need to be. And this is what Tom Brady saw, which is why he called it mediocre. Similar stuff is going on with the NBA, if we're being completely honest. There are certain things in the NBA that, in the current NBA, that obviously you're going to enjoy. But there's reasons why offenses is getting higher. And when you're watching a lot of offenses, there are reasons why people are saying that they like certain things from the WNBA or the NCAA over the NBA. There's too much of a lack of raw talent and raw athleticism over scheming, action, screens, cuts, double screens, floating players in certain spots of the court. When I watch the Pacers play on offense, I'm loving what I'm seeing because it seems like they truly are paying attention to what is going on. But most NBA teams just try to allow their players to go off. They take the easiest shot, which is a three-point shot, to score their points. They do ISO plays or pick and rolls, but never truly go beyond what is in terms of American basketball. The reason why I pointed out American basketball is because we've seen other individuals adopt that more fundamental style of understanding the game. International players. There's a reason why international players are at the top and the most elite players in the NBA right now. Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, Giannis. Even if people that's not necessarily from America, but are from maybe Canada, like Shea, Jamal Murray. Yes, we still got a lot of amazing American NBA talent, but suffice it to say, there seems to be a running trend on why certain players are better than the others. Luka and Jokic and what they're able to do on the court without that raw talent, raw athleticism should speak volumes to the NBA. We have other international players that are playing out of their mind as well. We have people like Franz Wagner doing great things, of course. We got people like Wemby, a freak of nature. So I think that's another important aspect, that a lot of good players in the NBA are becoming more and more international based. Again, is America becoming mediocre? I'm not going to talk about the other sports because I don't watch it. Baseball or soccer, football, however you want to say it. But we'll be talking about other sections of America. Let's talk about the music business. The music business, as of right now, you can call me an old head all you want, but let's recognize that it's also becoming very mediocre. It's relying on very basic messaging, but good beats to appeal to people. There's a reason why when it comes down to every new artist, they all sound the exact same. They got the auto-tune, they're saying very similar things in terms of guns and all that stuff. Even the female artists are becoming more mediocre. All they are showing is their sex appeal. The top female artists nowadays are people like Sexy Red and Ice Spice. They aren't like that. I'll be honest, they just aren't. I don't see the appeal. They just make catchy tunes. A lot of the current art, in terms of music, doesn't, as they say, hit the same. It doesn't hit the same. So our music industry seems to become mediocre. They have a formula they're abiding by that makes money. And a lot of this mediocre nature is really coming back to the easiest way to success. That is the big thing in the conversation. Easiest way to success. I guess that's the capitalist formula to an extent. The easiest way to success. We see it in the music industry. Very, very specific, easy ways to success. And I guess that is what it is, right? Because it goes beyond the music, it goes beyond the sports. What about when it comes down to other forms of consuming information? Even individuals are becoming more mediocre. When you scroll on TikTok, it's so easy to get instant gratification in terms of the media that you are consuming. Let's be very clear. I'm a victim of this as well because I don't want to put top tier editing all the time. I just say my opinion. But the stuff that goes viral, the stuff that people eat every day, are some of the most lamest pranks that I've seen in my life. Some of the most lamest dances and so simple media TikTok dances that I've seen. There's no true art. There's no true art to the pranks, to the jokes, to the dances, but those are trending. Mediocre forms of entertainment abide by the algorithm, which is another reason why people are becoming mediocre. They're just following a formula and just finding the quickest way to achieve that formula and gaining instant success. What about movies and TVs? Are they struggling? Well, yes, ladies and gentlemen, they are struggling as well. Marvel is struggling as much as it is struggling in terms of the lack of satisfaction from its movies. The MCU has to do a whole recall in terms of how bad they have been doing recently. The Marvels completely flopped. They're relying on a simple formula. They're relying on a wokeist agenda and think that people are just going to eat it up. Even their Disney products have been great. You've seen that Wish movie? That Wish movie is terrible. Some of the stuff that DC's putting out hasn't been as great as it should be. Mediocre entertainment, not achieving success. And I'll be honest, I haven't been watching TV as much as I have before. Well, we do recognize that a lot of the TV series that have existed in the past are just better. I'll be honest, Friends is one of and I haven't watched Seinfeld, but even Seinfeld, there's a reason why those shows just top any sitcom that comes out now, because they cared about their craft. The relationships between the characters seem so natural and genuine. Shout out Big Bang Theory, because I think they did a very good job too. Now TV's trying to follow formula. Mediocre. That is what TV and movies are becoming. So music is becoming mediocre. TV is becoming mediocre. Movies are becoming mediocre. Sports are becoming mediocre. People are becoming mediocre. What about politics? Is politics becoming mediocre? That's the big one. Politics. Well, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, the answer is yes. Politics has become one of probably the most mediocre it's ever been. Because people are not paying attention to the right things. They're getting consumed by very easy rhetoric on both the left and the right. Oh, if something's racist, if something happens to a minority, it's racist. If someone disagrees with the LGBTQ, it's homophobic or transphobic. If we're talking about, a Republican getting in trouble, oh, it's corruption. Oh, if we're talking about when it comes to books in school that talking about, puberty, all those books should be gone. The conversations have been so baseline. They don't really go into the details and the nuance behind the value of each and every conversation that needs to be held to create a better society. It's getting lazy because it's easier to appeal to the people if you make things very simple for them to emotionally react to understand emotionally. It's easy to react to something if you think it's just racist, transphobic, corrupt, pedophilic. It's easy to react to things that way. And we see people doing that consistently, especially on social media. Both on the left and the right are having these problems right now. And politicians are eating them up. That's why people like Vivek and Donald Trump are so insanely popular. They know how to appeal to people. They know the formula that it takes to win. They're using the formula the easiest way they know how and capturing you guys like sheep. The left has the same issues, so don't worry. Ultimately, the reason why I created the podcast episode to say whether or not America is becoming mediocre is to really highlight that America, as of right now, obviously is progressing in terms of technology, in terms of values potentially, not American values, but understanding of one's others more so than the past, and understanding different international affairs that are going around the world. And we're getting better at things. Like, we're becoming better video gamers. We're becoming better NBA athletes, NFL athletes, of course. But the details, the capitalist system, the way people are getting notoriety, fame, money, the way people are losing purpose and are immediately gaining purpose the easiest ways you can are potentially damaging. How do you fix something that is like this as of right now? Well, this is how I would go about it. Instill the values all over again. At every level. Instill the values all over again. And what it's going to take is for the people to care. You're getting products pushed in your face constantly. You're getting very easy things to consume based off the system that we have currently in place. The easy cheeseburger to order on DoorDash. The easy TikTok video to watch on TikTok. The easy music to listen to because it's just a bop and it makes you feel good. What about the craft? What about reaching the pinnacles of what it means to be human? The best food, the best music, the best acting, the best television, the best politicians. What we need are expectations. What we need is demanding excellence. All of y'all want something from the other side. All of y'all want something from someone else. So expect greatness not only from yourself, but from the things that you are consuming. Don't allow our society to become mediocre. Don't allow America to fall from its own progression and it fall from its own greatness. Because America is great, but its greatness is making us dull. So those are very important things that I want you to understand, and I hope that you do. With that said, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of the podcast. Tune in next week, of course. Merry Christmas. Y'all have a good one. Take care, and peace.
Well, check it out, y'all. We got what you need. We're all living in apartments, condos, vans. Well, dude, even you can have a studio in a box. Yes, we can help you with that right here at Blind Knowledge. We work on your budget and we figure out your measurements. We'll get you the best sound for the best price. Let me know, 877-237-1143 or at blindknowledge.com. Yep.